Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Doors. I'm here with Michelle Castle. Today, we're going to talk about what you do when you fall in love with a home, but you've got to get yours sold. So you guys stay tuned. Michelle, I've seen this quite a bit. I mean, this happens almost on a daily, weekly basis where somebody has a home they need to sell and they find a home that they want to buy, but they've got to do something to make that happen. I want to talk about a couple different options, and I think we should start with the most obvious one, which is a contingency sale.
Okay.
Now, what that is basically we're going to make an offer. The seller of the home that you want is going to accept that offer. It's contingent on you selling your home. That one's fairly basic. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. There is some strategy there, but that's, we can talk more about that on a consultation.
Well, wait, no, I do want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, I know as a seller, if I were looking at an offer and it was contingent upon the sale of someone else's house, number one, is the house listed?
Right.
How long has it been listed?
Right.
And then I'm going to ask the real estate agent, pull some comps and tell me if it's listed realistically.
Right.
Like I do think that just because you feel like it's a buyer's market and the seller may have had their house on the market for a long time. So you go, oh, I'm just going to lowball this and write a contingency offer. The seller may or may not be willing to negotiate, but they're also going to do their due diligence and see, is this really priced to sell? Is it in a condition to sell? Is it marketed correctly? Like all of those things matter.
Right.
So it is part of the strategy.
I guess you're right. I kind of blew past that a little quickly. I do want to talk about one thing you said. I think sellers who are going to be buyers need to realize if they're doing a contingency is you have to be very realistic about what yours is going to sell for in the timeline, which means you might have to be a little bit more aggressive on where you price it.
Right.
And I mean aggressive on the low end.
Right.
Knowing that you're trying to get that thing sold so that you can get the property that you really want. And so of course, we're going to try and price it right where the market is to where you're not leaving any money on the table. But you do have to realize that, this seller kind of has a little bit of leverage knowing that they can't sell theirs until you sell yours. And like you said, if they're looking at comps, their agent better be looking at comps of the house that you have to sell.
Yeah.
If they're
How serious are you as a seller?
Yeah, exactly.
Buying their house. Yeah.
Because as a listing agent, the worst thing is whenever I get an offer and it's contingent and the buyer's agent says, well, we're pricing it there because that's really what they need to make this deal work out. And I'm like, well, then this deal ain't going to work out for anybody because it's, your comps don't make sense. Your pricing doesn't make sense. So I'm glad you did kind of slow me down and we didn't just blow past that.
And I think too, it's really important to pick up the phone and call the lender and go, hey, listen, if this house were to sell for XYZ, do they still qualify to buy my seller's house?
Right.
I think that contingencies aren't a bad thing, but I think everybody has to do their due diligence.
Right.
You don't just accept it or decline it just because it's a contingency.
Right. And as a buyer, it is important to understand the seller's mindset behind accepting or declining a contingent offer and what they're really looking at. I mean, because you're going to probably be in the same boat whenever you list yours.
Right.
And then that's when it's real fun and there's a domino effect of contingent sales. But
and that's why they say realtors drink a lot.
Yes.
We don't.
Okay, so there's contingency. The next, I guess, scenario would be maybe for somebody who has a little bit of money saved up.
Okay.
And this is really going to have to do with financing where they go ahead and close on the home that they want. And they have to qualify for both the new home and the one that they're currently living in that they need to sell. And then they can... You know what? I don't even know what all they can do. So I'm going to ask you, take me through that scenario on the financing side where they're going to buy the one that they want before they sell. Like, what are the options there?
So if you have the ability to make the payment, if the lender feels you have the ability, because you might feel like you have the ability, but the lender's going to have to be very comfortable with the fact that you could make payments on both houses.
Right.
So if you have the ability to make the payments on both houses, then you could purchase the new house without your house being sold, knowing that eventually it's going to sell.
Right.
And the other question is, then where's your money going to come from, since it's not going to come from the equity of the house? And in that scenario, like I was talking to a couple today, they have enough money in their 401k that they could make it work.
Right.
And you have a better leverage with the seller if you're not writing a contingency. And in this case, they didn't want to write a contingency offer and not have the buying power that you could have right now with the seller without that contingency, because they had the funds in their 401k.
Right.
Then when they sell the house, they can reimburse their 401k for what they used. And if in this case they had still plenty of equity, that they could take the rest of that equity and apply it to the new loan and have their payments refigured based on the lower balance. So they were able to take advantage of the market using their 401k money, keep their house to be sold eventually.
Right.
So they're not having to like drastically fire sell their house,
right,
because they can afford the both payments. So that's a strategy.
Yeah. And I think in that scenario, one thing that the lender and the realtor both need to be, if they're doing their fiduciary duty to their client, they're saying, I want to make sure that you understand that, yes, you qualify for both payments. However, if you end up having to sell your home for this and you're going to go recast your mortgage is going to be this based on what you get from here, or you're only going to be able to replenish so much of your 401k if you have to take a lower offer, because the reality is we don't really know what a property is going to sell for until it closes and funds.
When and how much.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that I have that conversation about too, like right now it's the summertime.
Right.
So there's not that much maintenance that has to be done, but I've held 2 mortgages where I'm trying to sell this house and I'm moving into this one and trying to keep up with both yards. And then if you're going into the winter months, you got to worry about, freezing pipes at both locations. Like there's a lot more than just the payment that you got to consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've experienced that with trying to do a flip. Yeah. And the house I'm living in, plus a rental property that just went vacant. There's a lot of variables.
Utility bills are double because you're not going to ask people to come look at your house and not have the air conditioner on.
Exactly.
And it's 110 degrees outside.
Yeah. So there's a lot to think about, and you want to have a plan. Don't just, be like, you know what, we want both houses, we're just going to do it. You want to make sure you're thinking about all of the different variables. Yeah.
And I think, to your point, and we make the assumption that people understand the importance of working with people who work well together.
Yes.
Because putting your trust in people that are working together as a team, and, for me, that includes insurance and title. Like everybody's got to know, because now you're changing your homeowner's insurance policy to a vacant home policy,
right?
And then homeowners on here, like there's just a lot that's involved. So I think in all of these scenarios, it's really important that you're choosing a team to work with, not just an agent here and then a lender that you found online.
Exactly.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we have a great example of that right now, which gets us into the next I guess scenario, which is a bridge loan. Yeah. And this is something that there's a number of different ways to structure it. However, I don't feel like we could have pulled this off for our clients if, like you said, insurance, title, the bank that did the bridge loan, plus you who's going to refinance them out of the bridge loan, and then me who is going to sell their property. We've got a contract on it and getting ready to close. I don't think this falls into place without the people that are working as a team to get this done. I think it would have fallen apart before my clients even got the house that they really wanted. So
I totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
So a bridge loan allows you to borrow the equity that you have in your home and use that equity to purchase the new home. And depending on how much equity you have, in some scenarios, you have enough money to use that equity and pay cash for the new home.
Right.
The reason that in other states this is super simple. In Texas makes using your equity difficult, especially if it's your
owner occupied,
owner occupied. And so the strategy is going to be different in every scenario. So I don't want to go into too many details because we could be here for hours talking about all of the different scenarios. Right. But just know that it is an option. And it is very important that you're working with a trusted team, because people from out of state will say, oh, yeah, we can do a bridge loan. But can you do a bridge loan in Texas?
Right,
And
exactly.
that is, you'll see that, later on down the road, we don't like the way the title policy reads or y'all's laws read. So,
Yeah. And I've had that happen personally with some property that I've owned. You almost can't get that if it's not owner occupied. And if it is owner occupied, there's very few lenders that or banks that will do that.
Right.
And you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who's done it before and that you get a reference for somebody who's done it before. Because if, like you said, if you're just going online and finding a lender that says they
not
can
a
do a
good
bridge
idea.
loan, you're going to get to the end of the process and have spent money on appraisals and stuff like this just to find out that they can't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think like we're dealing with, it's the outcome was not what we expected or predicted. So we're having to do a lot of last minute little shuffling around.
Yes.
And so,
Which is, for everybody who's watching, it's super impressive how Michelle, Dan over at Great Plains, who did the bridge loan, and Sean at Red River Title, it's super impressive how they're able to coordinate and make all this work, because it's a little bit above my head since I'm not in the finance world and I'm not doing this on a day-to-day basis, but I'm impressed, and I know it's got our clients exactly what they want, and it's to their benefit. So,
right. I got to be honest, Cory, yesterday I was trying to figure the numbers out and I had to walk away because I'm like, okay, this is far too complicated for this late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I can't do it today. And so I got up this morning and I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure this out this morning so that I can be done for the day. So I figured it out. And then of course I had to then let the bank know, hey, this is the strategy. Are you cool with this? Title, this is the strategy. Are you cool with this?
Yeah.
And so it's all, you're right. It's all of the moving
Team
parts
effort.
in the communication. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I do want to address with those last two options, the bridge loan and also the what was the other one called? It's just
It's just buy now.
You're just
pay
buying it now and then selling your house and then moving on.
Recast is not something everybody can do. So number one, we want to make sure that's
And what is
clear.
a recast, just for people who may not know?
So a recast is when you have the initial payment that was established based on the initial balance.
Right.
And so if there is a large reduction, and every lender that allows recast is going to have a different policy. For us, as long as the once a year you can pay an additional $10,000 to the balance
Or
and
more.
or more,
Yeah.
and we'll refigure the payment.
Right.
Not everybody has that flexibility.
Right, exactly. So, one thing I want to mention about both of the options there with the buy now and then pay down or just pay off the 401k, that or the bridge loan, is that there is a certain level of risk involved. Now, and this is risk, yes.
Real estate risk?
There is a little bit of, real estate is guaranteed.
Okay.
But there is a little bit of risk that goes into both of those options, in my opinion. And if you're like for me personally, as a 1099 commission-based employee,
I know where you're going.
I don't necessarily feel comfortable with those because my income can fluctuate on any given month. And, if I have an extra payment that I am already stretched thin on, I don't know that I'm going to do that necessarily. If I have a W-2 job or if I have a ton of cash reserves and I can budget that out a little bit better.
I don't even know employment-wise if there's any safety and security. I think you need to have the reserves available.
Right.
Like you need to be able to buy and hold and cover that payment for at least 6 months
Right.
out of your own reserves.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
And I think that's where security for me would come is if I was going to do something like that, knowing that I've got the cash in the bank to where even if I don't sell another house for 6 months, that I can make that payment and not lose both properties.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't want that to happen.
Well, and yeah.
Which brings us to our
let's stop
last,
there.
that brings us to our last option whenever you find a home that you love and you need one to sell so you can buy it is
fall out of love.
you can fall out of love with it and you can just wait and get yours sold.
Yeah.
Feel very secure in knowing that your property is closed, funded, that cash is in the bank, and you've got a very solid financial strategy with your lender before you go make an offer on the one
If you don't
that
like
you love.
risk and you don't have the ability to afford both houses, that's the best option.
Exactly.
Wait.
fall out of love.
Fall out of love, whatever it is you got to do.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for checking out this episode of Unlocking Doors. If you have any questions, be sure and leave a comment down below. Share this with a friend. Subscribe to our channel. We will catch y'all on the next one.